Welcome, everyone. Today, we're not just here to talk about fashion. We're here to talk about the future. A future where an industry that totally shapes our identities and our desires becomes a force of change. Fashion can become a force that can change the world, that can change the society. Today, we're going to talk about 3 key topics. How to make fashion more regenerative, more equitable, and more sustainable. Fast fashion has told us 3 things. Has told us not to overproduce, not to underpay, and not to overlook. So today it's time to reimagine what's next. What's the future for us? My name is Fatou Ndiaye. I'm a consultant dedicated to gender equality. I'm also the TV host of a documentary where I travel the world to meet craftsmen, to meet people that are trying to preserve their heritage, their craftsmanship, and their savoir-faire. Today, I'm really thrilled to be joined on stage by 5 key people. 5 people who are going to share their stories, but also how they're trying to change the fashion industry. So, should we get started? So to start the conversation today, I'm going to invite on stage a woman. She's the founder of Human Material Loop. She's a visionary designer, and she creates a project that challenges the boundaries of material sciences, ethics, and design. She designs platforms around the world for turning human hair into a renewable, circular resource with radical potential. Please help me welcome on stage Zofia Koller.
Let's reimagine textiles through courage, collaboration, and care. Single fiber. I was always so fascinated. Something so delicate, so soft, can turn into so transformational, so magical. A piece of yarn, piece of fabric. This little fiber holds so much potential. We spin yarn, we weave fabrics. But fashion is not just a piece of textile. When we cut it, fold it, we create silhouettes. It changes our body. It changes our identity. It empowers us. It gives us confidence. It truly transforms us. Textiles and fashion are the most intimate form of art, so close to our body. But textiles are also innovation. It took Kevlar almost 20 years to develop and commercially market their materials. Without the invention of Kevlar, this carbon fiber, we maybe won't even have aviation and flights today. Or even, it might be not even possible to drive your car. Or take, for example, the spacesuit that Neil Armstrong landed the moon. We don't know what Columbus was wearing when he entered the New World, but we do know what Armstrong was wearing when he landed on the moon. And you know, there are so many exchanges in the fashion and textile industry that really enables one industry to another to move forward. Did you know that the spacesuit that was created to land on the moon was possible by a bra company, Playtex? They were the only company, after years of struggle, to develop a suit that actually will be holding together the astronauts that enable to go to space. Who would have thought that female intimate products can actually enable space travel? But textiles are not just about fashion, innovation, it's also about care. Just look at the medical textiles. From ancient times to modern days, stitches, sutures saved lives, fostered care, and allowed us to survive. Fashion is not just about putting something on our bodies. Textiles are also the principles of how we can survive today. But if we look at the system today, the fashion industry also carries quite a shadow. The textile and fashion industry is the third largest manufacturing industry. It accounts for 10% of global emissions, more than the aviation and maritime industry combined together. The industry uses every year enough water to fill up 32 million Olympic-sized pools. Well, you know, 1/3 of the population still don't have access to drinking water. And for what? To throw away 92 million tons of textiles every single year? Is it worth? Well, if we are realistically looking at the data, most people only wear their garments 7 times. Then it goes to rubbish, goes to landfills, goes to incinerators. We now are even able to see our own textile waste from space. Is this the world we want to leave behind? That we can look at our own waste from space? When I was a kid, I was always so fascinated by that we can see the Great Wall of China from space. And today, my nephews can admire our waste from space. And let's be honest, this system is not just about waste, resourcefulness, it's also about ethics. Child labor, forced labor. The industry exploits every part of life from resources to humans, to souls. And surveyed fashion companies have only 15% of transparency to their own supply chain. 15%. So if we go back to the math, so 10% of global emissions comes from fashion. 15% of this is somewhat transparent. What does it tell us? That we are completely ignoring the facts, the industry, and we are living in the dark. We are closing our eyes on the industry. And we are willing to wear whatever we want. I'm not really a fashion girl, but I do love textiles, because textiles carries craftsmanship, heritage, history. But if I really look at the system today, what should I do? The most ethical choice would be that we are all sitting and standing here naked. Because let's be honest, textile industry got out of hands. Every material we surround ourselves carries history, carries land, water, labor, carries all these resources. It's always coming from somewhere. But often, it's so undervalued, underseen. Do you really know how your materials are made? Where are they coming from? What they've been go through? While every material carries a history, we ignore. We just put blind eyes on so many things that are happening today. And have you ever asked, what are we actually giving back to this system? Because we are in the system, we are just taking and throwing it away. No doubt that we need a change. But what if this waste is not an end of something, that this waste is the beginning? If we can look at waste as a resource instead of something that is ending, what if we can keep on innovating and never having an end point of something, but always a beginning to start something new? Take hair, for example. We all have it, it keeps on growing. Almost 8 billion people in the planet. We all have it, keeps growing, we just throw it away, discard it. You go to a hairdresser, you get a beautiful haircut, you leave that salon good, confident, owning that day. And what happens after? You just leave that hair on the floor after you leave. At Human Material Loop, we ask this question: what if this abundant amount of raw material can be turned into something new? What if the most abundant biological waste on Earth can be the beginning of something? Because this material, it's just the cleanest raw material that you can get access to. It's circular and born of biology. but grounded in collaboration. Because what we have done at Human Material Loop, we put together a hairdresser, a scientist, an engineer, and a designer to create something that can actually provide a future for the textile industry. When we want to innovate, we need science. We believe that science is our best partner to make breakthrough innovations. But we need science, not a cold, detached science, but we need a curious, a creative science that's able to collaborate with us, that is able to transform us, and not just the industry, but how we see things. Because in able to transfer something, it's not just about the change, it's about how we change along the way. At Human Material, we are committed to bring the wildest dream of designers to the world. Because if you are a designer today and you are working with materials, how much guilt do you feel? How much do you know where is that material coming from? Are you able to design with that amount of guilt that you know that material exploited, extracted this planet, that there will be no future? That's why we have created Adara, our first protein fiber, to provide a regenerative and fully natural fiber for the textile industry. Adara is not about the end of textiles. It's about putting the bridge between the past and the future. And if you are wondering how this fiber feels like and looks like, just look at my blazer. It's made of Adara, a material that nobody had to suffer for. No land was used, no pesticides. It's locally sourced, locally produced, locally processed, and locally designed. How many of you are wearing something like this today that you had zero guilt for the production for it? It's natural, it's global, it's already here, it's already on us, it's already growing, and probably it's already wasted as well. We need innovation, but we don't need innovation that is louder, that is faster. We need innovation which is smarter, deeper, and more human. We need to remember that innovation has to be based on human scale, on human emotions, and human care. Collaboration is the most powerful force we have. As the saying goes, we need a village to raise a child. We need a collective to make a change. And this collaboration can become the most powerful force to make a change. In order to leave behind a linear way of consumption and production, we need to accept that we are in this circular economy, we are in this circular ecosystem. I believe the biggest issue with humanity today is that we believe we are not part of this ecosystem, that we are somehow above it. And everything else that lives, being part of this ecosystem, is way below us. But to be honest, we are the same chemical matter as anything else on this planet. So we also have to act accordingly and behave like we are part of this system. And as I said, collaboration is the most powerful force. And it takes a collective to challenge a broken system, because we have to be honest. The textile and fashion system is broken. Might be painful to hear, but this is the reality. We need next generation materials, not as a trend, not as a marketing line, but as a necessity. We need new materials that we can embrace, because what we are producing now cannot keep on going. And also, if we want to change, we have to accept before it's forced upon us. Innovation is uncomfortable because it's something new. When we face something unknown, it's uncomfortable because you don't know what you can expect from it. But we have to embrace this unknowingty because it might give us discomfort now, but it's our choice. If we wait a little longer, that discomfort will be forced upon us because climate change will not be comfortable. As I said, we need collective courage. We cannot just sit still and expect that solutions will be created. We have to be part of this change. You have to be acting to make this change happen. A few months ago, we did an exhibition in Cologne. Instead of setting up a booth, we set up a hairdresser salon. Because we really wanted to show people that actually you can be part of the change. You can be part of any innovation if you really want to. And what we realized in this, that people actually do not want to just be an observer. They want to be a participant. People want to take action. They want to be hands-on in the innovation where they can. And how can we achieve that? We have to create space where people feel welcome. Collaboration, transformation, reverence. This is what we need for the future. And to see value, we need to shift perception. To regenerate, we must reimagine. People do not see inclusion as a permission, but as a recognition. We cannot demand people to be included. We need to enable them that they feel welcome. When science forgets ethics, when design forgets care, when politics forgets people, we are left not with progress, but with rupture. These four terms are not separate terms. They're all intertwined. We cannot do one without another one. Because to collaborate, we need to commit. You cannot be half-like in something. You have to commit yourself for the change and embrace the unknown. And the systems, we need to co-create. If we want to make a system change, we cannot do it in a separation. We cannot do it in isolation. The systems of the future has to be co-created. And if we look at the future, how do we want to move forward? We do not want to dominate, but we have to relate. We do not have to consume, but to regenerate. We shouldn't create in solitude, but we have to build in dialogue. We are in this room, consumers, industry leaders, company owners. We have one task to do, and that's very simple. Don't sit still. Every action matters. Every step forward you make matters. Because the worst thing you can do is become inactive. Accept the system, you might just die now, today as well. We have to move forward. We need to take on challenges. We need courage. And I know innovation is not easy. It's a lot of discomfort. But if we don't embrace now any new innovations, climate change will be forced upon us. And that will be even more comfortable than putting your faith in new materials, in new innovations, and trusting that the system can reinvent itself. So it starts now. Don't sit still. Make a step every day forward. Thank you.